Well, now to a story you'll see only on 2. It's an explosive videotape.
That's right. A local student with no criminal record says he was brutally beaten by police. The violent confrontation was caught on camera, but the LAPD says that video doesn't show everything. Our Randy Page has the story you will see only on CBS 2.
The video was captured by a Hollywood nightclub security camera.
All I could remember was just sirens and punches.
The audio from a cell phone camera. Evidence in a lawsuit now filed against the LAPD, alleging excessive use of force and a violation of Aibuidefe Oghogho's civil rights.
I can't believe, everything happened the way it happened.
It was October 22nd, 2010, 10:30 p.m. Oghogho, a college student with no criminal past, was drinking a beer in a paper bag while walking to a nearby nightclub.
His blood alcohol level was taken later on. It was .04, which is 1/2 of the legal limit for driving an automobile.
As soon as Oghogho begins to cross the street, 2 LAPD officers pull up in an unmarked car.
Then one of them was like, "Hey, what you got in your hand?" Because, it was in a brown paper bag, One of the officers, just runs up to me and put his hands on me and pushed me. I put my arm, into the officer's chest and said, stop. And then he was like, are you serious? And next thing you know, everything went south from there.
The video becomes grainy for a few seconds. Then the security guard inside the nightclub zooms the camera in for a closer look. And during a struggle, Officer Robert Jenkins pulls his baton and strikes Oghogho on the back.
I never felt so much pain. My whole body just went, it's like everything just went into shock.
Seconds later, both officers repeatedly punch Oghogho while he's on the ground. His feet can be seen jerking in response to the blows. Oghogho is put into handcuffs and is motionless on the ground when backup officers arrive.
They picked me up, threw me onto this fence, and then they slammed me down. Like head first, and and it's the whole time they're doing it, I hear one officer keep punching me in my face. He's telling me, stop resisting arrest, stop resisting arrest, stop resisting arrest. All I could say to myself was, I'm not resisting.
Oghogho says the most painful moment would happen next. Out of view of the camera as he's taken to the ground one more time, Officer Richard De La Torre pulls out his taser and issues a 5-second shock.
It hurts. It hurts. It really hurts.
Moments later, Oghogho was taken into custody. He was treated for minor injuries but had no broken bones and did not need to be hospitalized. He was charged with felony resisting arrest. But a year later, the DA declined to prosecute the case, and the charge was dropped.
I think the DA just looked at that report and said, this is a joke, and we're not going to have anything to do with it.
The LAPD is declining our request for an on-camera interview, saying because the case is subject to litigation, they will not make any public comments. But we do know exactly what the officers have to say in their own words through this report. Officer Jenkins writes Oghogho was uncooperative and aggressive, and that he began to swing his arms and fists wildly in an attempt to escape. Officer Jenkins says he used his baton in order to stop his aggressive action and force him to the ground. Officer Jenkins offers justifications for every punch. The first, to prevent him from striking me. The next 2, in order to stop his repeated attacks. The third, fourth, and fifth punch, to turn his body and face to the ground. Officer Jenkins writes, the taser was used in response to Oghogho's attempt to headbutt me and kick me in the groin area.
None of that is on the video, and none of that makes any sense. And none of that happened.
Oghogho's attorney says the officer's account was written after police saw the videotape to justify what's on it, rather than a true account of what happened that night.
I mean, these are obviously lies.
The LAPD's investigation into use of force has concluded the officers acted properly in response to the threat posed by Oghogho.
What's really key in this case is the fact that this use of force with this video was reviewed by supervisors in the LAPD who saw nothing wrong with it. And people have to ask, are they just complete idiots or are they just rubber stamps?
Oghogho says he does not hold a grudge against the LAPD, but he takes issue with the officers who arrested him that night.
There's a lot of great police officers, there's a lot of upstanding, gentlemen that's really there to, help out the community and to make a difference. and to definitely fight for justice. I just happened to kind of come across the not great cops in this situation.
In response to our story, the LAPD says it has turned over this video and all of the evidence in this case to the department's Internal Affairs Division for another look. Randy Page, CBS 2 News.
Now, the LAPD allowed CBS 2 News to listen to a portion of an interview conducted with the Go-Go on the night of the incident. At the time, he can be heard admitting he put his hands on the officer's chest and saying he didn't blame officers for what happened.